In this video tutorial, we're going to add the necessary code and elements to load in our web plist, our array of websites, and display them in the detail view of our SplitView controller. So we're going to start with adding in code to the master view controller. And we've already got some code in here. We're loading in UI kit, which is going to do us for this. But we do need to add a couple of instances here of two objects. The first one is, and we're going to add curly braces. The first one we're going to do is we're going to add an instance of the detail view controller, and I'm simply going to call that lowercase detail view controller. Okay, and fix that. And then the other thing we're going to add is I'm going to add an instance of NS array, which we're going to need here to display our array, and I'm going to call this array attractions. You can call it whatever you want, but these are my Aussie attractions that you simply must go to as well. Oh, and I need an asterisk in front of that. My pointer would help a lot. Okay, so we're done with our master view controller header file, and we're ready to move over to the M file, the implementation file here. We're going to, first of all, we're going to synthesize. You notice we've got a little warning up here saying that, hey, we created this object, an instance of the detail view controller. So we do need to add the synthesis statement here. Synthesize property, and it's going to be detail view controller. And you can see there it gives us the hint. Make sure that you've got the lowercase d there. Controller, semicolon, and then we're ready to move down to this first method, which is the awake from nib method. And I'm just simply going to go to the line after, add a line after super awake from nib, and I'm going to add in here self.title, and I get the hint, and it's going to equal, and then I want to use the @ for string literal here and put in what I want to show at the top of the master view controller. So this is going to be at the top, the heading of the table view of my list of websites, attractions, it's going to say. So this is really just a string that I'm putting in there. That's the title. And then after the size, so this declares the size of the table view, the master view itself. I'm going to add some code here that points to the plist, the property list that I added, the array. So it's going to be NS bundle. And this is what we do to point to the resource folder here. We're going to say NS bundle, an instance of that, and this is going to equal square brackets NS bundle main bundle. We get plenty of hints here as to what we need. And then I'm going to add an instance of NS string path, and that's going to be equal to bundle, and here we're going to put the path to that plist file, so it's going to be path for resource, and simply have at sites, close the quotation marks, of type at quotation marks again, and then plist. So that's the type, close the quotation marks, semicolon. All right. Now, we are going to then add one more line here. We're going to say attractions equals and we're going to use the 2 square brackets here because we're going to do an alloc init, and we're going to say ns array alloc, and then close the first square brackets, and we're going to use init, and this time we're going to use init with contents of file. So go all the way down to this one, init with contents of file, and we're going to put simply after the colon path, and then close the last square bracket and semicolon, and that completes that block of code. Next block of code, the void view did load method. We don't need all of this, and in fact the self navigation left bar item, this line all the way through to the left bar button item all the way through to the right bar button item. I'm just going to select those 3 lines of code there and command / to comment out those lines of code. We're going to leave the void did receive memory warning. And then also this insert new object, we do not need this, so we're going to comment that block of code out of here. Now, the segues section, we're also going to block that out, and actually we could highlight all of that, comment it out, so we don't need that code. We do need the table view here, so it's going to generate at least one instance of the table view here, and then where it says down here UI table view return self objects count, this line here, so this ns integer table view, we're going to edit this line of code here. So instead of return self objects count, we're going to put in here return attractions, and you can see we get a hint there for that we're going to actually return attractions count. All right, so then we go down here and you can see this is where the template adds the NSDate object into those table cells as part of the template. And so we want to actually comment out that line where it says NSDate, and instead what we're going to do is we're going to add, and actually you know what, let's comment out both those lines. And what we're going to do here is we're going to add some code for our own NS array in the cells. So we're going to say NS array, and we're going to have an instance of that called, we're just going to call it temp, and that is equal to attractions object at index, and then we're going to say index path, gives us a hint there, dot row. Okay, close that with a semicolon, and then we're going to put in here cell dot text label. So we want this one, UI label text label, dot text, and that's going to be equal to square bracket, and then we enter in temp object at index, and we're going to say object at index 0. So this is to start at the first part of our array, which is the index point 0. Now, I'm not going to use this Boolean method, nor am I going to use this void table view method here, because we're going to load in our own array rather than have this as being editable by the user. So it's not going to be editable, and so we can comment out those 2 blocks. You can delete them if you want, but I'm just going to comment them out. And so I am going to add one more method down here. It's going to be return void table view. I get plenty of hints down here, and I want the UI table view did select row. So this one, if you scroll down, you'll see table view, UI table view. Table view did select row at index path. I want that one. So that's what I choose, index path. And then I'm going to create curly brace here. I want to get plenty more room here. So I just hit return, give myself plenty of room to write this method in here. And it's going to be ns array and asterisk temp. So once again, an instance of temp. And this time we're going to put square braces, attractions, object at index, and it's going to be index path dot row, close the square brackets, semicolon, and the last line here is going to be detail view controller dot detail item equals square brackets temp and then object at index. Only this time, instead of 0, we're going to put in 1. So it takes us to the next element in our array. So that is the last method for this. Now, that completes our master view controller header and implementation file. If we run this, you can see it builds, and it says the detail view goes here. Instead of our little back arrow, it has actually attractions. If I click on that, it loads the strings from my property list. However, I'm not seeing the web sites yet. That's because we haven't written code for the implementation or the header of the implementation file for the detail view controller. That's going to come next.